Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. It's been a real pleasure for the second day. Um, we have tremendous panelists, but I think we have some very, very great audience and guests. So I will talk about a few ideas at a general level. I do have a presentation, but I'm hoping that we can have a real discussion because I don't claim to be the fountainhead of all ideas and suggestions. I think it's the interaction that we have. But I think we've started connecting people already. When you see the Puris have already connected, Nat Puri, Sanjay Puri, so there is already that connectivity that has begun. So thank you for that. So let me see if they can turn my presentation on. I hope. While we sort out a few technical things. Let me just tell you that the perspective that I bring is from a pure technology background. I worked in technology for about 25 years. So my experience is all in technology. And I also believe that generally when people talk about how do we enable economic connectivity, I believe it has to result in benefit for both parties. Generally, business people do business based on economic value that gets generated for both parties. And that, I think, has to be one of the key foundations. And I think the third perspective in life, as you move forward, and as you get older, at least I realize it, that there has to be a concept of paid forward or paid back to society, as you say, that if somebody has given you a hand, Mr. Puri talked about, your hand should be like this and not like that. I said I've been in technology for 25 years. I didn't say I know how to operate the PowerPoint yet. So we are working on that. So anyway, the subject obviously is enabling business information exchange among Hindus worldwide using technology for a competitive advantage. So, from a technology perspective, like I said, my background is such that today technology is a real competitive advantage. I can tell you that when we used to recruit employees for my company, in the old days, we would be calling up people, calling up their references, spending weeks and months on end. But now what we do is we recruit a person and we use social media. We find out what they have been posting on their Facebook. We find out through LinkedIn who their connections are. And it has saved us a tremendous amount of money, but our success rate has become much, much higher as we do our recruitment. And technology is disruptive. I mean, I presume 10 years ago, if you were to come to this conference, you'd be calling up your travel agents. Now, maybe some of you still have. But generally today, if you have an app, it's a one-click perspective. And technology obviously gives access to information that can be a competitive advantage. So as I said, I'm going to put some thoughts out there. Hopefully we can have an interaction. Subhash has talked quite a bit about these points, and I think that he really laid out some of the statistics of how successful the NRIs, the people of Indian origin or whatever, the diaspora, whatever the term you want to use. The financial services sector is changing, at least in the United States, that now you don't have to have a physical bank to get banking services. It is really getting to be online. And even in the US now you have a currency called Bitcoin, which is a virtual currency that people are using. So when you start talking about the wealth of the people, how money gets flowed among people, there is an opportunity to create a virtual currency that can kind of flow and take advantage amongst the people who have like values, shared perspectives, because I can tell you when you look at when you look at the Islamic countries, they have Islamic banking with their values, etc. But when you start looking at from a currency standpoint, there are a lot of opportunities in virtual currency that you can use. And that's a point that's worth thinking about. The other place where I think that things can happen is pooling the power of the group, because there are certain habits that people have within, you call it religion, people of like perspectives, The rule of business is if you buy one product, you get a certain price. If you buy 100 products of the same kind, you probably get a better price. During Dhanteras, people buy a lot of gold, maybe clothes, etc. So if there was a pooling mechanism, because there are a lot of pooling technologies today like Groupon and social living and things of that nature. I think in India you have Naptol. You can really consolidate the power of the community in getting favorable pricing. And then the other thing is, you talked about how can we get opportunities? Well, there are websites where you have job openings, where you have business opportunities, and you can create specific groups within that to post either job openings relating to the community, or you can post business opportunities that are related to the community. As I said, you would share information for key positions and share it amongst the community and the group. Obviously, the challenges are, and hopefully we accept it, that we are a pretty competitive group. The reason that you see the wealth that Subhash has put it out there is because we are highly successful and highly competitive and highly type A. So sharing information sometimes is not the easiest thing for us to do. I mean, that's just the historical facts. We can talk about all those things, but the reality is, it's obviously Mr. Puri has done a phenomenal job in doing it. But getting everybody to share, especially when you're rising, it becomes much easier when you have risen to share. And that's the big difference. But I think if we can share on the basis that if you give one opportunity, then you will get one opportunity. Because again, as I said, people do things if there's a benefit to them also. So I think those are the things that really exist. And my conclusion as before to you would be that technology is a game changer. Subhash talked about software that can be done, or creating a credit card. Obviously, that would again pool the financial resources of the community. I think technology is going to give us so many different opportunities to pool the power, the strength of the community, that I think we have just started putting our mind, and I'm looking forward to having that discussion with you. Thank you.